I never get that comment. Nobody ever tells me to speak up. All right. So welcome to this beautiful World Refugee Day. Celebrating the resilience and courage of refugees worldwide, June 20th marks an important day on the global calendar, World Refugee Day. This annual event serves as a powerful reminder of the millions of individuals forcibly displaced from their homes and the collective responsibility we share in supporting their journey towards a better life. It is a day to honor the strength, determination, and contributions of refugees while raising awareness about the challenges they face and the need for compassion and solidarity. Today, we will delve into the stories, experiences, and triumphs of refugees, shedding light on their remarkable resilience and inspiring journeys. On this World Refugee Day, let us stand together, embrace diversity, and reaffirm our commitment to building a more inclusive and compassionate world for all. On today's panel, we have first, second, and third generation refugees from all around the world sharing the most personal and vulnerable moments of their lives. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Donya Ziraksari, a proud Iranian woman born and raised in Iran. I was forced to leave Iran due to religious persecutions, denied higher education, and other basic human rights. In Iran, if you are a Baha'i, you are often arrested, imprisoned for years, tortured, or even killed, just because of your beliefs. Many Iranian Baha'is have been forced to leave their homes and loved ones because of their beliefs. After living in Turkey for 15 months, waiting for a refugee visa, I arrived in the United States on June 26, 2007. My passion for science led me to engineering, and now I work as a program manager at Microsoft. I am also the author of Tehran to Miami and the producer of the short film called The Ticket. Let us commemorate June 20th as a day that many of our coworkers, our friends, neighbors, and loved ones have resettled in America and found a new home. Please join me in welcoming our panelists for today's event to recognize the World Refugee Day and never forget that America was built on immigration.
Yeah.
Thank you. I'm inviting Pravina to the floor to give us a little bit more context before we hear from the panelists. But a little bit about Pravina is that she is a first-generation immigrant and understands the challenges of migrant experiences while navigating unfamiliar systems. Pravina grew up in India. She's currently working as Community Engagement Program Manager for Refugee Services at Interfaith Ministries for Greater Houston. Please help me welcome Pravina, who's going to enlighten us on the refugee resettlement process.
Thank you, Donya, and good evening, everybody. As we all are by now aware that the United Nations designated June 20 to be World Refugee Day. Now in its 22nd year, World Refugee Day aims to recognize the contribution of our refugee neighbors, commend their resilience, and raise awareness and empathy surrounding their circumstances. So why is World Refugee Day important? So according to the UNHCR, World Refugee Day shines a light on the rights, needs, and dreams of refugees, helping to mobilize political will and resources so refugees can not only survive but also thrive. While it is important to protect and improve the life of refugees every single day, international days like World Refugee Day help to focus global attention on the plight of those fleeing conflict or persecution. Many activities likewise held on World Refugee Day create opportunities to support refugees and their families. So let's just remind ourselves as to who is a refugee and what is resettlement, and how does resettlement really look like in the local context that is within Houston. So at least 108.4 million people at the end of 2022 around the world have been forced to flee their homes as a result of persecution, conflict, violence, human rights violations, or even seriously disturbing public order. A refugee is someone who is fleeing or forced to flee from their homeland, again, in the fear of political, social, or religious persecution. So resettlement in this context is unique in that it is the only durable solution that involves the relocation of refugees from an asylum country to a third country. So refugees arriving in the United States are assigned a resettlement agency that is responsible for providing basic services and assistance. Resettlement agencies are refugees' guide to their new communities and help connect refugees to services that may offer additional help. Resettlement agencies provide critical support to refugees and their families, teaching them key information about basic services, reception and placement, and working alongside local communities. So Interfaith Ministries for Greater Houston's Refugee Services works with the U.S. Department of State, the Episcopal Migration Ministries, and the Church World Services to resettle about refugees from about more than 30 different countries every year. Our Refugee Services Department works to ensure refugees feel welcomed, are self-sufficient within 6 to 8 months of arrival, and become productive members of the Houston community. Our refugees have access to services like airport pickup, housing, English classes, cultural orientation, document applications, job placement, employment, and more importantly, friendship and companionship. So today, as we come together to honor and celebrate the strength and resilience of many in their journeys to the United States, it is crucial that we hold space for those among us who are here to kind of share their stories and, come together as a force to bring in creative solutions to integrate them into the Houston community. Thank you.
Thank you, Pravina. I'm going to go through people's bios, the panelists' bios, and once you hear your bio, please come and take a seat. We left a chair in the middle for Yvonne because he's very special to us. Guys, he's the only man in the panel, so I wanted to spotlight him a little bit, but no. A little bit about Lauren, who's one of our panelists. She's a former medical student who dropped out for political reasons, was forced to escape from Cuba almost 2 years ago after her political activities against the regime in July 2021. She was captured by the Cuban government along with her fellow activists, taken to prison camp for 12 days, forced to pay a fine and confess. Or she had to face 15 years of imprisonment. She later escaped to US and established herself in Houston. Lauren is currently working as a beautician, and this is her first time talking publicly about her situation in Cuba, but her fellow activists in Cuba are still in prison and waiting to be freed. Next person is Yvonne. Born in a hostile environment following death threats in Colombia, his mother, an accomplished attorney, migrated with her children to the United States. Although she was successful in her quest, her life was lost to cancer the year Sanchez graduated from high school. The tragedy left Sanchez nearly homeless and disoriented. However, in a daring attempt to dream for a different future, he propelled himself into what he saw was the clearest means for success: schoolwork. 16 years ago, Yvonne was pushing shopping carts at Kroger's. Today, he's an empowered professional pushing his community forward for the betterment of the United States. Yvonne, currently running for Houston City Council, is the president and CEO of Houston Millennials, a nationally awarded organization with over 9,300 members, hosting 36 empowerment annual events. Yvonne is also a commercial real estate lender with Gold Quest Group and an apartment investor with Sunmore Investments. Thank you. Okay. Turn it up. Oh yeah. Is this good? Is this better? No one's ever asked me to be louder. I don't know how this works. Bushra is the granddaughter of Palestinian Syrian refugees and spent a significant time of her college career advocating for rights. In her free time, she serves as the program director of her mosque and enjoys to write and travel. A native Houstonian, Bushra Hamid graduated from Harvard with a degree in psychology and government in 2020. In 2017, Bushra co-founded the National Muslim Women's Summit at Harvard Kennedy School, a conference focused on intensive organizing, financial literacy, and self-defense training in collaboration with the nonprofit Malika. Zed is a political refugee. She was born in Ethiopia and has been working with the Ethiopian refugees since 1974. She became a refugee in England when the Ethiopian king was removed from power and the country became a war zone. In London, she helped Ethiopian refugees, and she continued to do so as she moved through her journey from Ethiopia to Ghana, Togo, Germany, and she made it to USA. Since her arrival, she has been working with Refugee Services, and she currently works at the Refugee Leadership Academy as a co-director. Please help me welcome Zed. Awesome. So now we have our full panel of beautiful people, and we have some questions for them. And as you see, we have first generation, second generation, and third generation refugee. And this way we can hear a little bit more about what is passed down after somebody moves to a new country and what happens to the second or the third generation after, which is very intriguing. So I have some questions for y'all, and we're gonna have a Q&A at the end for sure. So feel free to write down your questions or take notes, and then we'll get to your questions for sure. So the first and most important question to me is, what emotions did you experience when you knew you had to leave your country, when you were still on your journey to US, and when you arrived in US? Zed, do you want to answer that question?
Yes, I can answer that very well. It is very, very, very difficult to leave your home, your friends, your family, your environment, everything that you're used to. And you don't know where you're going. You don't know what you're going to see. You don't know what you're going to face. It's just that all you have is faith. And for me, as you heard, I have been through so much to get here. And the thing that most hurt me was when the 1974 war happened, when my dad had to go to jail, and then a few days later, when I hear who was killed, who was not killed, and me being in England was not a good idea because I wanted to be at home with my family to hear and feel the fear, the crying, and all that with them. So when refugees are leaving their homes, it is very, very, very traumatic. You just have to face whatever comes your way. The refugee experience I have, that I have faced 2-3 times, was hard, but the last one was the most traumatic because I was forced from my home in Ghana and my husband has to leave before me. I was pregnant 7 months, had the baby all by myself, had nobody with me in the hospital. My back was hurting so much. I couldn't find the nurses to rub my back. I couldn't have anybody to come in next to me. But I had my baby after 23 hours of labor. And I am just telling you that when we get here, we come very, very strong and resilient. And the good thing is that we're here, we're settled, and we have most of the supports we get, and here we are. The one thing that hurt me the most when I got here was that nobody asked me how I feel. Nobody asked me what I really want, because as you heard, when we get here, we have to catch up to start living. And so that is the only thing that I wish that changed and that many people do not have to go through. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon.
And I saw my Muslim brothers are here, so assalamu alaikum, my friends. Thank you so much for coming, representing the ACCP, is it?
CPPA.
CPPA. Sorry about that, and thank you so very much for coming. If we can give, real quick, recognize someone that spearheaded this event. We saw each other at a networking event about a month ago, and we connected. It's none other than human rights activist, Ms. Doña. Thank you for the work that you've done and you continue to do. It was so good to work alongside you, and thank you for spearheading this event. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm not technically a refugee, but I came to the United States for the basic necessity of safety. And I did it under a little bit of privilege because I was 6 years old. But we gathered here today under the leadership of Doña to create the Houston Refugee Alliance, which is several organizations which I'm sure you're gonna name here pretty soon. So if you can give those organizations a round of applause, please. Woo! I was born in a very hostile country. I'm sure that y'all heard of Pablo Escobar. Raise your hand if you heard of Pablo Escobar. I had no idea when I came here there was pictures of him hung up on portraits, because he's the reason why my family fled violence. My family came in an asylum-like manner. After my mother's office was blown up, she was a prosecuting attorney, putting very bad people behind bars. And my father, a geophysicist, which he was kidnapped 4 times. Just yesterday, he told me how crazy these stories were. Twice he was pushed out in ropes, naked, out of the trunk of a car. One time, it was, and Camilo, you were there when he was testifying all this. My father said it was just like an action movie. Full army looking for him in the middle of the desert. And the other time was in an airplane. But we didn't come here until my mother, the attorney, received the facts that said, next time you put the kids in the school bus, they're not coming back. So what does a lioness do when she's cornered? She said, I'm grabbing my kids, and I don't know how we're gonna make it. We left absolutely everything behind. And this is where I get to answer the question of how I felt. Because we came here when I was 6 years old. I'm 36 now. And my mother told me, we're gonna go see Disneyland. I'm like, oh, sweet. We get to go to travel to the land of, Disney World, Bill Clinton, and Monica Lewinsky. Well, that's all I knew when I was a 6-year-old in Colombia, right? But at first I was happy. It was like, okay, we're going to the best country in the world. Sucks that we gotta come back, but let's enjoy it. But reality hit really fast. Because from living really well off in Colombia to all of a sudden coming here in a shack in Miami, eating rice and beans every single day, and seeing my mother cry. I had no understanding what was going on. it took a toll on their marriage, and here was a single woman with 3 kids. So regardless, about 3 days into the immigration story, I knew it wasn't a vacation. Reality was setting in, and I saw just my mother crying a lot. Not even Pizza Hut would give her a job. Overqualified, didn't know English. So these are important folks, and we're having this day to day because a lot of the refugees that come are educated folks. They don't come here to take resources. They want to give back to the country that's providing them safety. So if anything, let's spread the word and embrace refugees from now to the future. Thank you.
I'd like to say a few words. Coming here straight from Cuba wasn't easy. Leaving my mom, who is sick, alone in Cuba, where the government tells the rest of the world that we have free healthcare, we have free education. No, we don't. They gave us that to take away our freedom, and they do it. And I have friends that are in prison for 15 years now because they went out on the streets on July 11, 2021 to ask for freedom. I was lucky enough to escape that, and this is my first time, as Donia said, that I'm speaking this in public. Not even, most of the people from my hometown, most of them don't know what I went through. Sometimes when I talk about it, they're like, really, you went through that? I did. I just had to escape and no one knew it. So when they gave me a fine, I said, Mom, I have to leave now because they're gonna come back for me. Nobody knew. The only person that knew that I was leaving Cuba was my mom, my cousin, and that's it. Nobody else knew. My friends found out when I got to America. For me, it wasn't that hard because I have family here and they helped me through the process, but it's like being born again. I came with 23 years old. Right now I'm 25. I couldn't reach my dreams and goals in Cuba, and that's sad, and it's the reality of most Cubans. We want to study. I used to study medicine. I did it for 4 years. I come here, I cannot study medicine because it's like I don't have the resources to do so. So right now, I'm very grateful that America gave me this opportunity. It was a hard ride getting here. It's been a long ride also, getting used to it. Luckily, I learned the language when I was back in Cuba as a child because I always liked it. So that was a big starting point for me when I got here, and I'm pretty grateful for what America gave me when I came. I hope it continues that way. I hope we can bring awareness to all the people that think us refugees come to steal their jobs or something like that. We don't. We are escaping things that are out of control for us. In Cuba, we don't have any guns. We don't even have a lot of resources in medicine or whatever to face what is civil war. We don't have the resources to face that. And it was a hard reality knowing that not even the whole country out in the streets could stop the government or the dictatorship to do what they do. They even kill people in those massive protests. That happened in Cuba. All of Cuba was out in the streets, and not even that way we were not able to get rid of that dictatorship. So yes, I'm grateful. I hope a lot of people learn about our stories. More people start welcoming us. Well, of course, we're not here to steal anyone's job or careers. We're here to help. We also want to bring and help our community. I love it here in Houston, and I'm grateful for having this opportunity to speak in public about this. Thank you for having me. Thank you, Donia and Ivan, for inviting me.
Thank you so much. I smile. I'm not laughing at anything. I'm smiling because everything that they're saying resonates with me, and I have a lot of empathy towards what they say. And it's beautiful that people actually voluntarily want to come and talk about it and raise awareness. So I thank all of you for putting yourself out there. It's a very vulnerable position, but and everything that you're saying is actually happening in Iran right now. People are asking for a regime change and they're getting killed and executed. So I'm gonna go to the next question. I guess maybe you answered it a little bit, but I want to get a little deeper on this question. What do you miss from home? What part of your identity do you miss the most? Everybody can answer that, I feel like, on this.
Just a few words. About Cuba, the only thing I really miss is my family. They're there. I only have my sisters here in America, and I hope one day I get the opportunity to bring them back because, as I said, I was a political prisoner. So if I come back to Cuba, I don't know what I'll be facing. Also, the way I escaped, it was. So I hope one day I can bring them here with me.
Awesome. And Donia, just on the vulnerability aspect, I find this very cathartic. I think it's an honor to be able to really, tell the story and get it, off our chests. But just a little bit about me. My grandparents in 1948 became refugees from Palestine to Syria and had to restart from scratch in Yarmouk camp, which is a Palestinian camp in Syria. And it got just completely demolished and destroyed in the Syrian war recently. So I had a huge family. My dad has 11 sisters and brothers, and my mom has 2. But all my cousins and everyone used to live there and had to spread out. And after the Syrian war, initially my family was basically in Syria, and my parents were here, and now we're in over 14 different countries. So what I miss the most is the gatherings that we used to have. Every single summer we'd get together and have all our families together, and now we are everywhere. And obviously with all my cousins having to restart from scratch, it's very hard for them to meet up and see one another. So it's definitely not the most ideal thing. For me, it allows me to travel a bit more. So I'll take a silver lining out of it, but it's obviously not a definitely not an ideal situation, so that's what I miss the most.
For me, as I said before, obviously, it's family. You spend a lot of time at home with family. We go to church together, we have fun together, we talk together, we do everything together. And you wake up, one day, you don't have that. I lived before the revolution happened. I was a student in London when that happened. But my second and my third refugee journey was with my husband. And I miss my friends, all the people who were there for me when I didn't have anybody. So it is good to be here, and it is good to be among people that accept us for who we are. And it's very, very good for me. It really gives me pleasure to help others who come before me, make it a little bit easier for them so that they don't have to feel the way I felt when I got to the airport. Even as a grown-up with one child when I got here, it was difficult, really, really difficult. Just for me to think of what I left behind, a beautiful home. My husband had a private practice in medicine. Everything in 24 hours we have to leave. All we have to do was give out to the neighbor and leave. That's what we did from Togo. So lots of losses, but we come here, lots of gains, and I'm so grateful to be here. I'm so grateful for the people who resettled me. I'm so grateful for the churches who I have lots of dynamic Catholic friends who really took care of me when I got here. So I'm so grateful. All in all, it's a wonderful place to be, wonderful people. We still have a long way to go. I'm so grateful for the chance that I'm given to speak. And I am so grateful for all of you to be here instead of going home for dinner. It's really so much, very nice of you to include me last minute. I'm so grateful for the panel here. All in all, the cameraman and all that. Thank you.
I'll make this short. I was thinking about it. I had a little time to think about it while you were talking. Not in any particular order, but the food, bandeja paisa, ajiaco, all those type of homemade foods. I would say family, of course. There's a lot of immediate family still left behind. Lastly, would probably be culture. There's a lot of festivities in Colombia. But now I would never trade. My body was born in Colombia, Bogota, but everything I hold dear is here in the United States. They even call me the Colombian gringo now, so I will forever be an American now, so thank you.
Similar to Van's experience, I'm comparatively privileged. I came here as an immigrant, but to answer this particular question, of course, I think culture, and of late I've been toying with the idea of home. What is home to me, right? So that's something that as an immigrant myself and as working with families, the families that I serve, it constantly comes up, right? The notion of home and what we call as home is something that has, in many ways, has these missing components, whether it's family, community, culture, evening dinner with extended family. So the notion of home has been something that has impacted the feelings of loss a little more, both personally and through my work with refugee families.
Thank you so much. I'm going to say that nobody lives in Texas for the weather, okay? And nobody lives in Houston for the... You live here for the... Come on, my hair's already ruined. But you like it? Wait. I think one of the funny answers I always give to people, why do you live in Houston? You have no family here. I'm like, oh, I do have family, first of all. Everybody in this room is my family. Second of all is the food. Sometimes those are interchangeable, you know. The food is great here, and guess why the food is great here? It's because of the immigrants. I don't think Texans knew how to cook until we got here. Just kidding. But it's a good segue to my next question. Tell me one or two things you've done as a contribution to your community. And I want to focus on Houston, because it doesn't matter you've been here for a month or 6 years, I'm sure y'all have done something. See, I just said the y'all, so I do buy into the whole Texan thing. But I'm sure y'all have done something for your community, I have no doubt. And I'd like everybody to hear about it.
Oh, come on, you can go first.
I first arrived in the US in 2006, right? So I think one of the challenges back home was not being able to advocate for what I truly felt for. And I think coming to the US, I have been able to equip myself with both the language and the skills to not only advocate for myself, but also individuals and families who are in similar and other vulnerable positions. As a result of that, I think over the last decade or so, I've been working very closely with migrants. Refugee, is just the term refugees or is a migration status, right? So I would use the general word as migrants, and I've been working with migrants and other related vulnerable populations in different contexts, both within Houston and transnationally, who are migrating from South Asia to different countries to seek asylum, and then to Houston itself. And then in the past year, I've been working with Interfaith Ministries for Greater Houston, serving families who come from different parts of the world.
Well, I have arrived in the United States in 1983 and worked immediately with refugees and immigrants there. As I said before, the nuns always work with refugees, immigrants, anybody who needs help. So I came in touch with them and then started working. At the end, I started the African Refugee and Immigrant Services in Missouri, And I have done that for over 10 years. And also, I came to Texas. I started working at the Alliance for Multicultural Services. And now I have an agency with a friend of mine. We are co-directors. It's Migrant and Refugees Leadership Academy. We work with refugees and immigrants. Ever since I have become one, I have never stopped. I will keep on working. And as I said, it's an amazing thing to have others, because in the process you help yourself. It's for me also, but I've never stopped working with refugees and immigrants. Thank you.
For contributions in Houston, I have pushed my mosque to be from purely a place of just prayer, where people would go pray and leave, to a community center. So I noticed that a lot of young people are trying to lose their identity, especially if they look like me. They do no longer feel the sense of culture that we really love and we really want to cherish and celebrate. So initially, my mosque didn't have any programming in any community, but I really wanted to shift the way we look at it to a place that people can come and gather and have a safe space, away from their schools, away from other communities, just to really collect and gather all together and really celebrate who we are and our identity, and not lose that in the facade of this world.
Well, I do have to brag about the seeds that my mother planted before passing away. Her 2 companies were taken by my 2 brothers, which I jokingly always say I'm the only broke one in my family. I chose this industry, but we've created thousands of jobs. My brothers have told me to keep pushing for the tens of thousands of jobs, because one of our companies is a mortgage company that became one of the biggest hard money lenders in the state of Texas, lending about $650 million a year in new development, skyscrapers in the Galleria area. The other one has about 600 apartment doors, which he always renovates. And so we've created thousands of jobs. They have. I've created about 3. Other than that, just two little things. From pushing shopping carts at Kroger's to pushing legislation in the United States Congress with the Honorable Congresswoman Sheila Jackson Lee. After my graduation, she took a chance with me, and literally I was crying for about 3 days in a row, because I couldn't believe that an immigrant like myself became the immigration liaison for a senior member of Congress, which ended up turning into her right-hand man. And some of those experiences, a lot of us don't know what actually staff does, like casework, right? So here is a 23, 24-year-old immigrant, recently graduated from college, now helping veterans get their benefits at the Veterans Hospital, or getting the elderly their checks on time through the Social Security office that were stuck for some type of bureaucracy, or having the power to bail out hundreds of unfair deportations, even getting them out of their planes when they were about to take off. So this is just a testimony that we are not here to take anything. If anything, we're here to add, because we want this country to stay the best country in the world.
Talk about Houston Millennials. That is a huge deal in Houston. I mean, that's a huge contribution.
So, as I said, I'm 36 years old, right? I worked in Congress when I was like 25. I look 25 right now, so when I was 25, I looked like quinceañera. So what happened with Houston Millennials, I was going to so many events on behalf of the Congresswoman, but I literally looked like an 18-year-old, right? So every time I would go to these massive events, galas, I mean, you name it, all these things, in rooms that I was never supposed to be in, but because of that privilege, I was in. And no one would shake my hand right. Like, it would be like, over and over until I spoke on behalf of the Congresswoman, then everybody would bum rush me. But it was a new event, just throw me under the bus. So I found, out of frustration, on December of 2015, I just started a group called Houston Millennials. So I thought that there was such a bad stigma on our generation that we're lazy and entitled, but what we lack in experience we make up in drive and ideas. And so this networking event, this networking organization turned into a massive organization with 9,200 members, 36 annual events in which we're just pushing everything forward. We do have elected officials, we're running for office, we have business people, we have women empowerment events, health and fitness events, and all these things, and we got nationally recognized by the Motif Disney Award, which people like Dr. Seuss have gotten this award, so that's what we're contributing to our community.
As for me, I'm a small business owner. I started working as a makeup artist back in Cuba when I dropped out of medical school because, I mean, if you're not with the government in Cuba, they won't let you have a good career. Like, they will try to push you to the worst parts of Cuba, and they will make it hard for you to reach your goal. So I dropped out of school in 2018, and I've been working as a makeup artist since then. So I came here, and after 6 months, I managed to save some money and buy my makeup kit, the one that I always dreamed of having, because in Cuba you don't get a lot of stuff. And my contribution to Houston community and my friends, my family, supporting also other people that own small businesses through my social media every time. I don't charge people for promoting. I'm not an influencer or anything like that, but I do have a lot of people that follow me and they like my content and all of that. So I try to support everyone as much as I can, as I like people to support my business too. And I'm here to contribute more in the future. That's my goal.
Thank you so much. I am a huge fan of Houston Millennials, and I'm only 22, so I'm not sure what you're talking about. Like, I'm a partner, we're the same age. I'm going to combine the next two questions because they're very close to one another. What are the future aspirations for your community, whether it's your, I guess, where home was to you, and I want to know, what are your future hopes for Houston, for where is home now? And something a little bit bigger than that I often think about, is what is our hopes and dreams for the world? What kind of world do we want to live in?
For me, the most important thing has been, in the current context where you're facing such massive global migration crises, and an influx of families within the United States, particularly to the city of Houston in its many different forms, to create and hold space for families irrespective of their migration statuses, right? So that's like the big goal. And when I say families, it is for women, men, and youth, right? Through programming activities that help unpack some of the cultural and social barriers that one faces as they enter or start living in the United States. It might not come up in that first 60 days or first 90 days on arrival, but that, there are different aspects that come in later. So that is a dream, that to be able to bridge some of those services, like core services that federal governments, state governments, etc. offer, with other activities that help transition even more smoother, so as to lead individuals and families towards self-sufficiency, irrespective of language or any other cultural barriers.
Well, I would say for Colombia, I hope it doesn't turn into a communist country. I'll tell you that. Not a lot of folks know, but we have a new president elected last year that is very far left. The youth voted for him in droves, but this guy used to be part of the FARC, which is the terrorist movement narco-terrorist movement, and he was one of the leaders, and he just became president of Colombia. We saw what happened to Venezuela, what's going on in Cuba, and we want to stay away from all that. The hopes for the United States is to continue being a country of immigrants. It was built by immigrants. Only people that were here before that was Trail of Tears and all that happened. We have to remember all what happened. But I believe there's a lot of talent that wants to come in, and the same reason. We're not here to steal or anything. As an immigration liaison for a member of Congress, I saw some very messed up cases. And they didn't have the resources, the money to hire an attorney or whatnot, and these people are getting separated right in our communities. I couldn't stop this one deportation. I remember, gentleman was the main breadwinner of a family of 5. He got deported because he didn't fully stop at a stop sign. And well, the hopes for Houston, Texas, I am running for Houston City Council District J. This is not a political event, but District J is in the southwest part of town. Sharpstown, Gulfton, Brayburn, Westwood, a part of 80th. And my dad being in gas and oil, they would ship them, when they would ship them to the United States, they would make them stay at Sharpstown. Because in the 70s, it was another Galleria. The Sharpstown Mall was the first mall in the entire United States to have a central AC system. And that part of town has been neglected, and I want to bring back the pride of Southwest Sharpstown.
So many of you guys, like me, are probably following the Titan submarine that had gotten lost in while viewing the Titanic. And while that is a very, 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 obviously very sad, and desperate situation, I just can't help but think of the boat that just capsized in Greece 2 weeks or a week ago, that many haven't heard about, where hundreds of migrants, were lost at sea. And so it just, my hope is that we give every life the same kind of resources that we pour into saving others. And it's one of my cousins had that same story. It capsized near Greece, and she literally had to swim to the island a couple years ago. And when she got to the UN camp, she was a doctor back in Syria, and she saw many people were hurt, and there are no doctors there. And so, one of the volunteers from the UN had pointed to her to their own tents, and she's like, go ahead and just use the medical supplies, because they literally didn't even have doctors. They didn't even have those kind of resources there. And she had to treat people while she was soaking, and after having her own boat situation. So, that's my hope, that we put resources into everyone's lives equally.
For me, also, it's like what everybody else said. My dream will be that we all live in harmony. When we come here, we come to serve and obviously be served. And we come without anything. And in my community, there are a lot of businessmen, and there are, people who are doctors, lawyers, and all that. And we are here for a reason, and the reason is that being a refugee, and with that given chances to us to be here, to live together and help one another. If you want to pick a stick from the ground, you pick one end and you pick the other one, because the other end will not refuse and stay down. So that's what we have to do. Pick one, pick others, and live in harmony. That's my wish here. Thank you.
Well, coming from a communist dictatorship, what I want from America is to stay free for all of us, not only for Americans, also for immigrants, to be able to study and work equally and without restrictions in the way we think. We're all different persons. We have our own perspective on anything. For me, I don't like communism at all. It hurt my family, it hurt my country, it hurt me directly. So I want to keep America away from that, and I want to bring awareness to American people that somehow there are people, I see people falling into that, and I don't want that for America. because I've always said I run away from communism. If America ever becomes a communist country, which I know it's not easy to do, but you never know what can happen. If America ever becomes a communist country, I'm just gonna live in the middle of the sea, in an island, because I don't want to know anything about communism, and I want to bring awareness for that of that, and I want America to stay free. And I wish Cuba was too, but I know that's not gonna happen in the next few years. So.
Thank you so much. I am done with my questions. I could ask more, but I want to let the audience ask more questions. Anyone has any questions for our panelists?
Don't be shy now.
Yeah. Go ahead.
I'm Catherine Huntsman. Thank you so much for speaking today. I would ask you, if you were speaking to youth, middle school, high school, who are dealing with all of the challenges that youth face in Houston, what would your advice be?
So when I was growing up, I'm a very independent person, and I've been through a lot, but I'm strong. So I know my mom made me that way. We went through a lot with our family, in our country. So what I will tell to young people is the worst thing in life and the only thing that has no solution is death. So as long as you stay alive and healthy, you appreciate that and study hard and you are the person that decides your future, and that's true. I came from nothing, from Cuba. My parents were not in America. They didn't bring me here while I was a child. And I brought myself here, and living in Cuba, that's not a possibility everyone has. So I will tell the young people to stay strong. I will tell their parents that they have to be open with their kids too. They have to talk to them, teach them, because it's hard when you're being taught a lot of things and you see a lot of things. For young people, it's hard to stay focused on what they are or what they want to be. So telling them to be strong, to study, that's the best way to stay free to study and being aware of everything. Yeah, that would be my advice, because that's what I did for myself.
I would say get off TikTok and find your passion.
Yeah, and so I actually taught after I graduated for a couple of years in the Heights, in that area, and I remember, just little acts of awareness that we can give them. Show movies. There's so many documentaries that highlight these kinds of struggles in non-violent ways and disturbing ways for children. So there's definitely ways that you can slowly introduce types of awareness, teach the difference between refugee, asylum seeker, etc. You can introduce vocabulary into their daily lives for sure.
Yeah, most of the stuff that was said is very, very important. But I would say that it all starts with families. The refugee communities, mostly when parents go to work, they don't get home on time. So kids usually have their kids on their leg, they open the door, they go in, the TV is on. They are watching a lot of TVs, they are all by themselves. And some families, plain families, have TVs in their bedrooms, and they have cell phones, and parents are working, they are busy, and kids are left by themselves, so they run into trouble. So I would say that we start with the basics, and then of course whatever the teachers are doing, very, very helpful. And we try in our communities mostly to empower them to really say no to their children. Us coming here, we have nothing, so we tend to give them everything. And we think that we can substitute that like it's love, but we are just taking away their freedom. I think, if we don't say no, and then they run into trouble, they think that they can get everything anytime they want. So I would just say that families really have to be strong and say no, hands-on. If they go to the mosque, if they go to church, if they go to synagogue, whatever it is, add God to it, or whatever God is to them, and show them the right way, then they will stay that way and they will be strong. That's my suggestion.
I think as an immigrant that fled the country of Colombia for the basic necessity of safety, and having crime so high right now by 2.3, I think as that person that my family felt that pain, there's nothing more important than public safety in our neighborhoods. Sharpstown, Gulfton, very dangerous neighborhoods that we can improve. So we need a smart public safety plan committing to what works. Yes, patrols, manpower, but also as a new generation type of public servant to invest in technology like shot spotters. I'm not sure if you know, ladies and gentlemen, but District J is bringing the entire city of Houston the reputation of being the sex trafficking capital of the world. And it's this side of town. It's Bissonnette. So we just completed something kind of outstanding, and thanks to Camilo Sanchez for spearheading this on behalf of the campaign and all the team members, but we were getting all these complaints, and we put a petition that caught some momentum online. It was to plaster the Bissonnette with cops, 10 patrol cars or whatnot. So this weekend we just went over to Bissonnette to check it out, show some of our block walkers the issue, and we saw 0 prostitutes in the street. There was just so many police cars everywhere, so I want to kind of believe that we have an impact like that. But also rehabbing Sharpstown Mall. The World Cup is coming. $1.6 billion are coming into our communities. And rehabbing Sharpstown Mall, paving that eyesore and parking lot, putting LEDs, palm trees, bringing HPD as a storefront. Hopefully the private sector can do what they do best and bring an anchor tenant to it, and so we can do a massive rehab on it. Besides that, obviously as a community leader, is to clean up and beautify the city of Houston.
Anyone has any questions?
I have a question.
Go ahead.
So I have 2, but they're quite similar, so you guys could answer either. But what was a resource that you guys didn't have when you came that you wish you had? Or maybe like what was the most difficult part about your transition resettling in Houston?
Could you repeat the question with the mic, please?
Yeah.
So the question, I don't need a mic. I'm just kidding. The question was what resources they needed when they arrived here, and what was the most difficult part of resettling in Houston. If you, I mean, you want to answer? Because you recently came here, so.
Yeah. So as an immigrant, I think the hardest part of being an immigrant in a new country is the bureaucracy of everything. It's like, it's hard to get a work permit, and it's hard for immigrants to work without a work permit, and I think that's one of the most important things, and also the part of education. I think for kids, they do get into schools and everything, and that's good, but for parents that have to come in with their kids without a work permit, work, pay for rent, gas, food, and everything is hard. So I think that's one of the things that for me was the hardest part for me as an immigrant, to get here without a work permit, and I wish I could continue my studies, and that's also some things that I know a lot of people face when they get here.
For me, it's mental health. Because of what we have been through to get here, when we get here, we are told what to do all the time. You have to go and learn English, you have to take the bus, you have to go for medical checkups and put kids to school and all those things, and very, very busy. The case workers have a job to do, and the resettlement agencies have the same thing. And we, in the middle of it all, are lost sometimes, because if you have trauma, you don't talk to anybody about it. Some people saw their parents being killed in front of them. Some of the people were raped. Some of them had their babies die in their hands on their way here. And so, to me, that needs to be in place to talk to us and see what can we do, how are we doing. I mean, it's very difficult for me to open up to anybody to talk, but if there is somebody in my community that I can trust, that they can use that person to get to me. So that's very, very important. That is what I see mostly needed. Thank you.
I just have to say one real quick comment now that it came to my head, and it's not answering the question, but to highlight the resiliency of these refugees. The woman standing right next to me just got in a car accident about 3 hours ago, and she called me when it happened, and she's still here, so if you can give her a round of applause, please.
But I'm fine. I'm sorry, I didn't know that. Just a small bump. I'm sorry.
It's still an accident. It's still a. I was going to say something about the mental health. ICMC, Catholic Charities, helped me relocate and resettle in the U.S. And they did offer me a therapist when I first got here. And something that I was telling you on the phone the other day is that the therapist kept wanting to talk to me. Hey, just paint. You're pained. And I'm like, there's no pain. I don't understand what you're talking about. I need to learn English. I need to go to school. I need to become an engineer. I need to find a job. I want to work for NASA, blah, blah, blah. But yes, they kept asking me, people kept asking me, are you in a culture shock? And I had no idea what that word even meant until year 3, year 4, year 5. And still, to this day, I go through culture shock because there's so many things that I didn't know and I had to learn about this culture. I spent 20 years in Iran learning about my own culture, and then I had to come here and I had to put that on pause, which I often feel like I neglected my Persianness so much that I can't even relate to my own community at some point. So I lost those connections. So that's one thing about the mental health. You don't even know you need it. You don't even know what to say when it's offered to you. Another thing is that you said what resources. Yes, we need an ID, we need an education, we need a job, we need all of that. But you know what we need the most? And working with Houston Welcomes Refugees, I got to be a part of it. On the other side of it is friendship. Friendship and unconditional love, no judgment. And something we talked about on the phone, and somebody from CW39 brought it up yesterday when they were talking to me, is the word shame. We feel ashamed to say we are refugees because it's something at the bottom. It's like, I didn't come here to go to school. I came here as a refugee, and I've never said I'm an immigrant. I always say I'm a religious refugee, and I just open up because to me there's nothing more beautiful than being vulnerable. But friendship is the most important thing we can offer, and I urge every one of you to go around and visit every table. There is something you can offer to every organization that came here. The most important thing they need, it's not money. It's friendship, it's volunteer work. It's an hour, it's an hour a month, it's an hour a week, and trust me, you can get off TikTok, you can get off Instagram, and do that for your community. Make new friends, eat good food, and hang out. I don't know any refugee family that you go to their house and they're never going to be like, oh, I need this and this and that. They're going to be like, what do you want? Can I make you tea? Can I make you food? Can I offer you anything? They want to offer you something immediately. They don't even have a couch, and they want to offer you something. And I made great friends working with Houston Welcomes Refugees, and they moved to California, and they still call me. They call me for Persian New Year. They call me. They're Afghan. There's an Afghan family. They just call me and they just want to chat. And I every time I see, I'm such a bad friend because I don't call them as often as they call me. But it just goes so far to say that they needed that more than anything you can imagine. Go ahead.
I wanted to say something. I'm sorry. I'm a registered nurse at a hospital, so we see a lot of refugees immigration, different kind of things going on with them. When they're ready to get released, I try to give them directions. Okay, you get on the metro. They don't even know what a metro is. They don't know what the street names are called. They don't know any resources to go get food or just the basic necessities. They have, sometimes they can't talk the language, so they can't communicate. So there's so many things that, like I said, friendship, you can give them guidance, or and that's the reason I came today, was to get everybody's information so I can give it to my patients. So, it's very hard for them because they're really coming in and they don't have help. information out there. There's a lot of people that don't know how to get that information.
Yeah.
They
It's
don't know where
empathy,
the
right?
churches are at.
Yeah.
You know, churches give out food all the time for free. They don't even know that. They don't know where the church is at or the community resources. So I really want to take that back to our hospitals and get that, you know, to the patients coming in when they're getting.
Awesome. Thank you so much. It's empathy that we all need, right? And it's so, it takes very little time to just stop and say, all right, let me Google something for someone, okay? Because they didn't even realize they could have Googled it. But then they don't even know what to Google.
They don't have a phone.
No, they don't even have a phone. It's very interesting. Like, I was trying to get a hold of this family's, the mother of the family, and I couldn't because her phone died somehow, and I just couldn't get a hold of her, and I had to call her husband. Her husband was at work, and he walked all the way to work, and it was just, I've lived it. I often give people rides to the airport or anywhere else, because I didn't have a car for the first few months that I moved in US, and trust me, it was in Houston, or I would have died from the heat. It was New Mexico, but still brutal dryness and heat. And I used to walk everywhere, ride my bike everywhere with the $100 that I had, and I bought that bike. And trust me, I really appreciated when I was sick and people gave me rides. And that's why anybody wants a ride, I'm like, I give you a ride, no problem, because it's the least you can do. Any other questions? If not, we're going to go and hear a little bit from a few of our organizations that sponsored and they collaborated with us. I'll start with Engage, if you don't mind. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Farouk Shamsi, and I'm the chair of Engage Texas. We are a national organization, and basically what we do is get out the vote. And this ties very well into refugees, because what we have had is a lot of refugees who are becoming citizens, who are, I would say, former refugees, is what I should say. And we're registering them to vote, and they're making a huge impact. And this is the best way of having immigrants vote and become part of our process, is becoming registered to vote. And you can have a voice. And you can, because if you vote for the people you want to vote for, you can hopefully influence them to make a better refugee policy. So we can bring in more people who need to be here in a very humane fashion, which is really, really important. I want to thank Donia here for inviting us. Millions of persons left without a home, repeating the thought here, but never forget that America was built as a nation of immigrants. That's exactly what we are. I'm an immigrant myself, come from an immigrant family. I'm not a refugee. And I must say that hearing all your stories really puts things into perspective, that immigrants are quite lucky, because you're coming in and you're becoming a productive member of society and all that. But as a refugee, you come in, like you said, it's like being a newborn, and you're starting from scratch. And that's going to be the most difficult thing in the world, especially for, like you said, it's a 6-year-old child coming from Colombia. Engage, our national organization, Engage Texas, besides getting out the Muslim vote, we register people to vote, like I said. Nikki, where are you, Nikki? There she is, trying to film me, okay. Nikki's here registering people to vote. And does all of this work, registering people to vote and getting them? Well, we helped get out 1.1 million Muslim votes across the country in 2020. So that was a huge goal that we had. One of our core values at Engage Action is to protect human rights, and we've been talking about that, and free and fair elections domestically and abroad. Engage Texas as an organization recognizes the growing number of Asians coming through the border and the impending, believe it or not, genocide in India, which has caused our organization and many others to protest Indian Prime Minister Modi's visit before Congress this week. I mean, perhaps 50 or more congressional reps and senators will skip this speech in protest. And we urge you, if you have not already done so, please go to votervoice.net/engageaction/campaigns. That's votervoice.net/engageaction/campaigns. You can find the protest that's going on for India, against India, and I guess it's not against India, it's against Prime Minister Modi himself. And all the human rights abuses. It's not only Muslims, it's Christians, as well as Sikhs that are being abused there as well by the government. People forget that one time in recent history, Europeans and Jews were refugees too. And they dealt with a lot of hostility, but we remember the Holocaust just for this reason. And we'll be seeing the emergence of climate refugees soon too, because those countries that are being overrun by water and typhoons and snow, frozen snow that used to be there is not there anymore. So around the world you can become a refugee in an instant, and Engage recognizes that. And all of this is why we must have compassion for any persons coming into our country here who are suddenly without a home. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. In the hope of getting people to get out there and vote, I actually made a 20-minute video over 2 months ago and put it on YouTube. It's all in Persian, but I was telling people how to register to vote, because a lot of immigrants don't vote because they don't know how to register to vote. They don't know who to vote for, and they don't know when to vote, and they don't actually go to vote. And that could be all of us in this room as well. So there's 4 things, and that's why I like everybody to get to know their whoever's running for office or their local politicians, because we need to know them. It is our responsibility. We are paying taxes. We're living here. It's very important for us to get out there and vote. It is our right. It is our duty. So with that said, I'm going to ask Daya to come and talk about their organization a little bit. Thank you.
Hello everyone, I'm so glad to be here today. So my name is Pam O'Tall. I go by she, her pronouns. I'm a native Houstonian, but I am a second generation South Asian woman as well. And I'm so glad that we're here today to really celebrate and uplift refugees, and also coincidentally, June is also Immigrant Heritage Month, and much like America, DAIA was also founded by immigrants. In 1996, 8 South Asian women came together to found DAIA, as they noticed that there was really a lack of cultural understanding and compassion for a lot of survivors of domestic and sexual violence. And so 27 years later, we offer holistic services for survivors of domestic violence, and we also educate the community to help end the cycle of abuse. And that's also where I would love for all of y'all to kind of help us with today. Domestic violence and sexual violence, it's not a private family issue. It's definitely not something that should be, kept behind closed doors. It's something that affects all of us. 1 in 3 women and 1 in 4 men will experience this. And unfortunately for a lot of immigrants and refugees, that rate is actually much higher. At DAIA, 2 out of 3 of the clients that we see are foreign-born. Many of them are immigrants, some of them are also refugees, and we see how that status actually ties into how they are abused. So we would love for all of y'all to take the time to really become educated on domestic violence, how it can occur, and start having those kind of, difficult conversations, but with your family, and really think about the ways that you can help spread healthy relationships and help uplift survivors in your community.
Thank you. And last but not least, let's hear it from Houston Welcomes Refugee.
Thank you, Donia. Yes, my name is Marie Winker, and I get to serve as the engagement manager for Houston Welcomes Refugees, which we heard a little bit about, but I'll share a little more. So our mission as Houston Welcomes Refugees is to help ease the resettlement process for refugees coming into Houston, and we do that by mobilizing invested and caring volunteers. So as y'all shared, we know that refugees are forced to flee their home due to persecution, violence, even war. And as they spend many years on refugee camps, they often come here to Houston lacking basic needs, basic items, and also lacking community. And so that's how we've designed our 3 programs. So first we have our Starting Essentials program. This is where we have people donate what we call welcome kits. We have 9 different welcome kits. Each are new items representing a different room in the home. We have a bathroom kit, a cleaning kit. I like to think of it like a wedding registry. All the items you need to restart your life. And we have move-in teams that will unpack those welcome kits, set up the apartment just hours before a refugee family even arrives. And that is our Starting Essentials program. Our friendship program, which we talked a little bit about, so Donia and I were actually on a welcome team together. Our friendship program is really the heartbeat of what we do. This is where we have welcome teams of about 4 to 6 people walk alongside a refugee family for the first 6 months they're here. And what that looks like is they start greeting them at the airport, showing up with big welcome signs saying, I'm really glad you're here. And then it looks like showing them how to use the metro and showing them where the grocery store is and taking the whole family to the zoo and drinking tea, sitting on the ground, listening to stories. We want to mobilize people to be friends. And of course there's a lot of basic needs, but just like y'all had shared, there is a need for friendship with a lack of community as they come in. And then lastly, we have our community education program. We just want people to know, what is a refugee, what is it not, especially living in Texas, what does the resettlement process look like, and how people can tangibly get involved. And so I'd love to encourage each of you. One, we are in need of welcome kits. That's a really easy and great way to mobilize friends, family, or community to get together, run to Target or Walmart, put together a welcome kit, and just be a tangible part of helping refugees here in Houston. And also would love to encourage each of you to consider being on a welcome team. We really need welcome team volunteers as we're receiving an influx of refugees. So since we've started in 2016, we have received over 3,000 refugees from 24 different nationalities. And we're distributing about 500 welcome kits each month, receiving about 150 refugees each month. So we need volunteers and would love to encourage y'all to join us.
Thank you. Well, it's an amazing experience, so I encourage everybody to definitely stop by. Yes. Before my closing remarks, I guess, I can announce a couple of things. We have different tables with different organizations. Interfaith is here. The Baha'i Faith, where I am a part of the community, is also here. Please stop by and hear about the campaign that is going on. It's a storytelling campaign. The Baha'is usually do not talk a lot about what's happening in Iran because it makes things only worse in Iran for the Baha'is. Before I go over my closing remarks and thank everyone, I wanted to mention that I guess we have a representative from Al Green's office, Congressman Al Green.
That's my former colleague right there.
Hello. Well, I know Ivan for a long time. He's young and now he's flying high. I'm still down here. My name is Catherine Lee. I work for Congressman Al Green. Myself, I'm a refugee, like about almost 15 years ago. And I understand all the challenge that you guys go through. But if you have a strong will, you will fly high like Ivan. Okay, go to school, learn all the resource in the society, which is, we have a lot. We have a lot of organizations that support refugees. And our office also have the service for the refugee and on the immigrant. So you have any issue like your green card, work card, VAWA, and all of the immigration issue, please come to our office. If you live in our district, we will help you out, and then if not, we will refer to another congressional office that you can have assistance of. Today, Congressman is in Washington, D.C. He cannot come by, so he assigned me to this assignment, and he would, on behalf of Congressman, I would like to present the certificate from Congressman. Okay, this is let me read this. This is the certificate of special congressional recognition presented to the Houston Refugee Alliance in honor of your service to the community. On behalf of the constituents of the 9th Congressional District of Texas, I salute your commitment to raising awareness about refugee experiences while sharing resources from across the greater Houston area. June 20th, 2023, Al Green, Member of Congress.
All right.
Thank you. Good luck to you, Al Green. We'll see you around. I just seen him a couple of days ago. He's everywhere now. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for coming here. This means a lot to us.
Could all the organizations come and take a picture? For
yes,
the
yes,
Alliance?
yes, yes, for
Refugee
sure.
Alliance? Yes.
Yeah, we can do it now.
Yeah, all you guys want.
Why not?
Houston Refugees, Daya. Actually, I got all the organizations here.
Yeah.
Yes.
Houston Welcomes Refugees, Daya Houston, Houston Interfaith Ministries, LULAC, Iranian Culture Foundation, Engage, and
Nassim.
Houston.
Yes, let's do that and then I'll close at the end. Awesome.
Sure, why not?
I will hold it. Come, don't be shy.
Come on, close.
Yes.
In the center and then. Where is you are pretty tall, so maybe
ICF. Yes, you were a part of us. Come on. I'm sorry. Nassim is here. Okay, do we have all the, we have interfaith?
Yes, I think we have everyone in, yeah. Good, ready? On three, say refugee. 1, 2, 3.
Do it again, Kilo.
Ready? On three, say refugee. 1, 2, 3.
Refugee!
No, maybe we won't. All right. Sounds good. All right, thank you very much.
Awesome, thank you. All right, don't go anywhere because I still have my closing remarks and I will cry if I don't get to say. Just kidding. All right, thank you so much, Catherine, for this. This means a lot to us. I like to think we just met at one of the events last month, and I was like, Yvonne, let's do this. And then Camila was like, who is this girl? I think you're still like, who is this girl? But yes, it's okay, we'll go on. I still have your number. I'm not letting this go.
Hey, but that's the power of networking right there.
That's right, that's the power of Houston Millennials. That's why I'm such a fan. All right. The difference between a refugee and an immigrant is that immigrants have a choice to migrate and replant, reinvent themselves, but refugees are forced to do so and often do not have a long-term plan. They are in survival mode through the immigration process, and in most cases, this feeling of fight or flight stays with them for the rest of their lives and is passed down to the next generations. Often as refugees who have been resettled, we feel homeless, lost, and out of place. Our roots have been yanked out of our homes, and we were forced to move to an unknown place and face a questionable future. Out of 22 million Syrians, almost half of them have been either killed or forced to migrate away from their home since the Syrian conflict that started in 2011. And the recent earthquake in Syria and Turkey did not help their situation. Thousands of Afghans were forced to flee Afghanistan within hours and days after Taliban took over the capital. Can you imagine that? Being homeless is a feeling, not a physical state, and often as refugees we feel homeless and excluded. Houston has made me feel included and has welcomed me in their community. This is one of the most diverse cities in the nation, and just like a garden filled with colorful flowers, it's beautiful and every color flower is appreciated. In the past 44 years, the Islamic Republic regime in Iran has oppressed Baha'is and denied them the most basic human rights, the right to education, the right to practicing their own belief, simply the right to be a citizen of their own home country. And what I wouldn't give to have one summer night in our home in Tehran with the balcony door left open, feeling the summer breeze as I fall asleep in my own home, just minutes away from my grandma's or my childhood elementary school. Let us unite for World Refugee Day, celebrate it, educate ourselves, open our mind and hearts to the refugees, and help all these wonderful local nonprofits that are working around the clock to resettle the refugees and make them feel welcomed, and give them the tools that will help them succeed and become a functioning part of our community. Let us hope for a world without borders and without refugee camps. A very special thank you to Houston Millennials and Yvonne for making this happen today. A big thank you to all the resettlement organizations that supported us for today's event. Please take a moment to converse with them and learn about the programs and consider becoming a part of them. Thank you.
Also, a very special thank you to Donia for pioneering this wonderful event. I'm sure many of you guys who made it are here on her behest, and I'm sure many more who got confused by how to get here were also here at her bequest. So before I dismiss y'all to walk around, please know that we have refreshments and water over there. We also have some pastries, so please help yourselves. And please do meet all our wonderful panelists and organizations and stick around for a little bit. I'm sure the people who own the building will kick us out in a little. So thank you guys very much, and it's wonderful to see you all.
Lord, this is Houston. Everything is normal.
Oh wait, Busha, let's take some. Can we get that word?
Yeah, word from really quick.
Congress, U.S. National Congress. The Refugee Alliance. Recognized by Congress. We are recognized by Congress. Oh, it's okay, yeah. Oh, no, I guess. We've been laughing.
Thank you so much, Pam. Make sure I got the right name. Well, thank you so much. I appreciate your service.
We're easy to remember.
Yeah, she's like that.
I know. I'm a
about refugees in Houston and ministries to those refugees. And I remember the name of it.
Depending on the view check here.
But anyway.
Where else did you go to? To Barcelona?
Yeah, so I would love to speak to you. Yeah,
Good week.
Then I can
crazy story. I don't
I always say that to organizations that show. I'm like, I want to help. Like, just take it.
Green knows me.
You already looks like great.
The way like try that that's exactly what it is, right? Like help with the mentors and creating community, but I think like maybe it was a rush hour. Next time we'll have to
I really don't see you response therapy for me to email me and I can connect you to the right
there's a
person.
guy
But whether
sitting over
you're
there
able to
saying
offer
that
services or no also depends on his ability. Because currently we are in
supporting. I actually
new arrivals or people who have come on their own and walking.